Hello, everybody. After a long hiatus, I'm finally back. Glad to see you all again. As I promised earlier, I'm going to be talking about 3 guys to make up for lost time. The first guy I'm going to talk about is Gregory Clepper, who was convicted of killing 1, but is suspected of killing at least 26 in Illinois between 1991 and 1996. Clepper committed at least 1 rape slaying, targeting drug-addicted sex workers who he killed after they objected to his refusal to pay. Clepper admitted to killing 40 women and bragged about being one of Chicago's most prolific serial killers. However, lab tests in at least 12 of the murders pointed to different suspects. Clepper was ultimately charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder. In 2001, he pled guilty, allowing to 1 count of first-degree murder in exchange for an 80-year sentence. The plea agreement allowed prosecutors to file new charges against Clepper in the 12 cases that were dropped if DNA tests implicated him. He has yet to be charged with any other murders. As of this video, Clepper is 57 years old and serving his sentence at the Big Muddy Correctional Center. He is projected to be released in 2036, when he'll be 67 years old. Clepper will have to spend 3 years on mandatory supervised release before he is fully discharged from his sentence. The second guy we're going to talk about is Joseph Medley, who killed at least 3 people in 3 different states between 1944 and 1945. Medley, a former gang leader who had escaped from prison while serving a sentence of 30 to 60 years for kidnapping and robbing a millionaire manufacturer in 1934, or killed women in a series of robbery slayings. Medley was convicted of 1 count of first-degree murder in D.C. and sentenced to death. While on death row, he and another condemned murderer, Earl McFarland, who was guilty of raping and strangling an 18-year-old girl, escaped from prison. During a card game played in a guard's room, Medley and McFarland overpowered their jailers, took their uniforms, and put them on, then cut their way into a ventilation shaft and out to the roof. Medley was captured 8 hours later, hiding in a sewer pipe on the Anacostia River, telling reporters, "You can't blame a guy for trying, and I'm going to try again. I'm glad nobody was hurt." The manhunt for McFarland made nationwide headlines for more than a week until his capture in Tennessee. McFarland was executed by lethal injection at the D.C. jail on July 19, 1946, at the age of 25. His last meal consisted of ham, eggs, toast, and coffee. McFarland's last words were, "I want to express my thanks and deep appreciation to everyone who has helped me. I still say I am not guilty of these crimes." Medley was executed by electrocution at the D.C. also at the same jail on December 20th, the same year, at the age of 45. The same day, 2 other men, William Copeland and Julius Fischer, were executed for unrelated murders. The last meal for all 3 men consisted of a chicken dinner. His victims were Laura Fischer, who was 28 and was from Austria, who was staying at the DeSoto Hotel, whom he drowned in her bathtub and stole money and jewelry. Blanche Zimmerman, whom he killed with an overdose of amphetamines and alcohol after and stole her fur coat and 2 ruby rings. And Nancy Boyer, who was 50, the murder he was convicted of, whom he killed at an all-night poker party at her apartment. The final murderer we're going to talk about is Gary Sinegal, who was convicted of killing 3 in Texas who killed 3 in Texas in 2005. Sinegal, who had been paroled in 2004 after serving 22 years in prison for robbing 2 women and attacking an elderly woman, killed 3 other elderly women in a series of robbery slayings. He stuffed the bodies of his victims into their closets. After prosecutors discovered Sinegal was potentially mentally disabled, they offered him a plea deal. Sinegal pleaded guilty to 2 counts of capital murder and was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years. He died in prison on February 7th, 2021, age 56. His victims were Margie Gafford, who was 86, Louise Tamplin, who was 81, and Dorothy Barrett, who was 82. So that was my triple-decker to make up for lost time. Hope you guys stuck around, and I kept my promise. Goodbye.